Hey, what is up, everybody? This is your boy AJTRIP, and welcome to Back to Shoot, my weekly episodic show. We'll talk about what's going on in the world of professional wrestling. It's usually on Fridays for those of you new fellas, and maybe you new ladies who are new to this show. Um, but I let it slip. Yes, let it slip on my yesterday. So we're doing it today, just one day late. It doesn't make a difference. So, and as you can see, I still have a little bit of a cough. That's one thing about having a cold or any kind of stuffed up hair or anything like that. You do the stuff to do to get rid of it, but it still lingers for a lot longer than it should, especially as you get older. Anyway, so is The Rock good for WWE? That's what we are talking about today. There have been many, many of people here on YouTube or across the interwebs talking about what The Rock has done for WWE since his return to WWE several years ago, when he became part of the board, when the WWE had sold uh, sold it to TKO and Endeavor, and it became he sold it to Endeavor and it became TKO Sports, also owning UFC, and then The Rock became a member of the board of TKO. And ever since he's become a board member of TKO, people are now asking, has The Rock actually done, done good for the WWE? Now we're gonna go back and we're gonna talk about some of the things that have happened since his return, and see if it is or if it isn't, if it is or it isn't return. So we'll do that, and then maybe at the end we'll answer the question: is he or is he not good for WWE? But yeah, that's what we're talking about today. So let's go ahead and let's get started. So actually, let's go back about almost 2 years. Let's go back to September of 2023. The Rock was on the Pat McAfee show. They were in Boulder, Colorado, as it was Deion Sanders' first ride. It was Deion's first season in Colorado. They were there. Game day was there for the Colorado Buffaloes thing, and at that time, Pat McAfee was taking his show on the road. During that time, he still does, but he does it with him now. He doesn't do it with the whole crew. Anyway, and The Rock was there on game day to do the guest celebrity picking. So he decided to stop by the Pat McAfee show, and it was there where we learned of the fact that they were trying to get for WrestleMania 38. They were trying to get to do the Rock and Roman storyline there, and then get to do the match there so that The Rock could, what I'm assuming, what he would, pass the torch to his cousin Roman, and they would truly anoint Roman as the true tribal chief of all of anything, right? Um, and he said that things didn't work out, between Vince and Nick Khan and anything like that. So they decided to, as he turned the phrase, put his pencils down and move on. Because the story wasn't right or anything like that. So, and even back then, when people heard that it was like the story wasn't right, the story is that you have a guy claiming to be the tribal chief, the head of the table, and you have another guy, but then you also have this other guy over here who is kind of proven to be the tribal chief of the head of the table and the the one in the family, who is actually he's a legitimate high chief of a tribe. So there were some thoughts about what is that about, but that show aired on a Friday. Coincidentally enough, WWE was in Denver, I believe, that Friday as well. And Pat was doing the SmackDown shows at the time, as a commentator. And if you remember, Austin Theory came out, and Pat McAfee kind of talked his talk to Austin Theory, and boom, came out The Rock. And he came out, had a very special with Austin Theory, and and they did their thing, and it was it felt like it was just a one-off thing that was happened, but because they haven't been in the same place. Rock hadn't been on SmackDown in years, so it was just a good surprise, right? Well, there's some things out there, including from The Rock himself, what kind of said, well, that wasn't supposed to be a one-time thing. That him coming back, that was supposed to be, it was supposed to be happening. Once they knew that was there for a reason. Months later, on January 1st, 2024, it was on a Monday. It was Monday Night Raw, Day 1. We had Jinder Mahal come out there and talk what he was talking about, and then The Rock showed up, and he had a conversation with Jinder Mahal, and he had his stuff, and he. And he did that with Jinder Mahal just like he did with Austin Theory. And then at the end of that, he talked about they were in San Diego. He asked San Diego, where should he go to eat? Should he go to a bar? Should he go to a restaurant? Oh no, where should he sit? Should he sit at the bar? Should he sit? Whatever else, in a booth, or should he sit at the head of the table? And everybody got excited, and everybody was elated. And that night, at that point, I was watching Fightful's post Raw reviews with Sean Ross Sapp and Denise Salcedo, and I think they had about at least a 2.5 hour post Raw show talking about what the Rock came out there and did, and they said, and all of the things they had that set up, and everybody was chatting in their thoughts and how they were gonna go and everything like that. And again, you get different reports, but those were reports that they decided then, the group decided then that it was going to be Rock and Roman at WrestleMania. But we still had the Royal Rumble, and we still had Cody Rhodes, who needed to finish his story. And CM Punk has now come back, and CM Punk is looking to, get his opportunity to finally main event WrestleMania. And Drew McIntyre is pissed at everything, and Seth Rollins is holding the World Heavyweight Championship, and all of this stuff going on. And he wants to prove that he's a better champion than Roman because he's there every week, and Roman comes and goes when he pleases. It was just It was anarchy. And we get to the Royal Rumble, and when you know it, Cody Rhodes wins. And Cody Rhodes wins, and I can't necessarily think of the timeline, right? I can't necessarily think of the timeline, but I can't remember if what happens is the Monday after Royal Rumble, if Cody Rhodes comes out there, and talks, and then Seth Rollins comes down, and he makes the offer to not face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, to face him, or if he does it the week after, or if he does it the week after. If I remember correctly, I think it makes more sense, for him to have done it then, because he was still choosing. He was still at that time. He was still making a choice. So then that happens, and everybody's like, that's interesting. And then we go to the SmackDown on Friday, where he meets face to face with Roman Reigns, and he gives us a soliloquy about everything happening and yada yada yada. And he'll get his WrestleMania shot, but he's stepping aside because she does that, and then here comes The Rock. Rap music hits. The Rock comes out. He comes down. He hugs Cody. There's that thing where Cody obviously has definitely he can't hide his disappointment with what has just gone down with now it being The Rock and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, and then he moves over and we have Rock and Roman. There's some holy shit chants and everything like that. Now, let's not have revisionist history. Everybody and their mama, going back to day one, was all down for a Rock and Roman Reigns WrestleMania match. Everyone was down for it. I don't want to say everyone. The majority of fans were down for it. The majority of fans wanted it. But when you go ahead and then you put, when you give Cody the championship, when you give Cody the Royal Rumble win, then it kind of just makes sense that he has to go and face Roman Reigns for the championship if it is a start. And then to go ahead and do all of this, where you're kind of pulling the rug out of Cody. Yes, some of the Cody crybabies were upset at it. And for the entire weekend, a hashtag of "We Want Cody" trended on Twitter and social media like for the entire weekend. And continued to trend for even days after that. It didn't stop until like that Tuesday or Wednesday. So then they announced a WrestleMania kickoff. WrestleMania kickoff thing, where they would have the full announcement, and that's where we got The Rock and everything like that, showing the Samoan Dynasty thing, where all of the things that happened. We showed how we have the VIA family and the Anawahi Fatu family, and how they have come together and things like that, and how it was a beautiful thing, and it kind of shows really what the family is. I'm going to show you that maybe there is only one true royal family in professional wrestling. But so we have that, and that's where they decide that it's going to be Rock and Roman, and decide that Rock is going to flip the switch, and he's now going to become a heel, and do it like that, and he slaps Cody, and then Seth is there and everything like, and then that's when they made the pivot. The WrestleMania documentary last year, that's what they said, that they kind of made the pivot because they didn't want to push through like Vince would have done. Vince known for just pushing through. He really only made one change ever with the fans kind of forced him to, and that was the Daniel Bryan thing. And I think Vince thought, and because Daniel Bryan a couple months later got injured pretty quickly, I think that kind of said, see, I should have kept going with what I was going to do. So Vince was always going to just continue to do what he do. He rarely ever let the outside, the fans, kind of change what he was going to go ahead and do. He may have did it with WrestleMania 31, actually the next year too. Now to think about it, instead of putting it on Roman, he had himself with the title. I don't know if that was always the plan or if he at the last second yet changed that one as well. We don't know. But yeah, so they decided to pivot and everything like that, and even then, there were reports that The Rock just kind of came in and they had WrestleMania plans and just they kind of just throw them all out the window because The Rock wanted to do his shit, and even in that documentary, Triple H says that they've kind of pretty much had the WrestleMania card down since October. They know what they want to do, but then The Rock comes in again and he changes it up and he wants to do this and things like that. So and then we get this amazing build to WrestleMania 41, in which we're going to have Cody and Roman in the main event of WrestleMania 40. But then now The Rock's there. He's now created this character of the final boss because he is the TKO president and everything like that, and he is what he is. And now he's joined alongside the bloodline at the time, Roman, Solo, Paul, and Jimmy. And I also now I wonder if going back to that September Friday Night SmackDown, John Cena was there. John Cena was there, kind of interesting if you remember, because the writer's strike. So he came back for a few months in 2023, and he was doing SmackDowns and pay-per-views, things like that. So, but anyway, going back to that, I wonder if that was the same SmackDown that we saw the then tag team champions of Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes. They were stopped by Jimmy and Solo and Roman, and there was kind of that face off there. So I don't know, I can't remember, but anyway. So and then there's rumors about why is Dwayne doing it? Why exactly is Dwayne doing this? Did he come back to WWE because he genuinely loves wrestling, as he continues to always say? Or did he come back because he was getting he was getting a lot of bad publicity, more than he had ever received ever in his career? People were blaming him for the downfall of the DCEU with Black Adam and the fact that he wanted certain things in Black Adam. He didn't. I think there was again rumors and reports that he didn't want Black Adam to be with Shazam. He wanted Black Adam to go up against Superman. He felt Black Adam wouldn't, even though Black Adam and Shazam are the actual rivals, I believe. And don't get me wrong, I don't delve a lot deep into comics, but I am kind of a comic book guy, a superhero guy at least. But that was the thing there. He didn't want Shazam. He wanted to, and he kind of felt like Shazam, the Fury of the Gods, was kind of, because of that. Which, by the way, I don't think I've even seen. I saw the Flash movie. I saw Blue Beetle. I I saw Black Adam. I don't think I've seen Shazam 3 of the Gods though. I have to try to catch up on that. Anyway, as I get sidetracked, um, so I think it's I did get sidetracked because now I'm trying to forget where I was at. But yeah, but why did The Rock come back? Why exactly why did he come back? And then there's that whole thing, which again I'm gonna say here I find ridiculous, that there was fires out in Hawaii. There's fires that devastated a lot of that land there, and him and Oprah got together and they came up with a fund, to help the people of Hawaii. And everybody gets so upset that they did that because they're multi-millionaires. Oprah's a billionaire, and they're asking normal people for money. So is it just because they're billionaires and they're asking people for money, or is it because they're black and they're often asking people for money? Because last year when we had the most recent LA fires and we had the hurricanes over on the East Coast that did damage, we had celebrities then asking people to help out their fellow Americans if they can, and give money to funds, give money to the Red Cross, and nobody complained about that. But Oprah and Dwayne, we're going to get mad at them for asking us for money. Makes no fucking sense. But anyway, there's a thing on him now where he has, and even in that 2023 interview with Pat McAfee, he mentioned it. He talked about that being, he understood why people would be upset at that, but neither here nor there. And he has all of this for the first time in his career. He's having this backlash on top of him, and he's, not seen in the light that he wants him to be seen in. And as a positive person, a better person, yada yada yada. So is that why he comes back to the wrestling world? Because the wrestling fans don't give a shit too much about that. They just know that it's The Rock. He's one of the greatest of all time, and he can come back to wrestling. Is that why he did it? Who never knows. It doesn't even reports from of course from the wrestlers backstage. They were telling people, some of the reporters that it's I don't know why he's back or anything like that, and it doesn't, it's always good to have him, but it does seem like he is, being, he's doing this the wrong way. We, during that entire thing, during that kickoff thing was during the week of the Super Bowl. They did it in Vegas. The Super Bowl was in Vegas. And they talked about it, and Seth Rollins was going around, and I don't know if he was working, or if he was shooting, or if he was shooting, or what it was, but he was even saying that he didn't want Dwayne there, and Dwayne was, and I kind of found that kind of interesting. If that truly was a shoot, you said Seth Rollins needed to shut the fuck up, because this is one of the greatest of all time, and at that time I said he can make anything better. But we like we mentioned, we've had this whole thing and everything now like this. Now he's the final ball, and it was a tremendous build. The final ball, things like that, and he would come out and he had that tremendous promo in Memphis, where even back then he was a heel, but he was kind of a baby face in Memphis because this is where he was from. This is where he started the thing off. So he wasn't clowning on Memphis, but he still was doing the stuff, and he had that, he's still doing that stuff, he still worked. And he had a tremendous promo, where he ended it with the line from Moana, and he goes, you know, I can't remember, but it's always something. He ends it with "You're welcome," and I said it, and I think it's one of the best promos in the history of wrestling. It's so sinister, the way he looked, and what he was talking about, smearing the blood of Cody Rhodes, and then even then, at some point, he makes a surprise appearance in Chicago. Later on that night, in the night in Chicago before WrestleMania, he makes an appearance. And he does what he said he's going to do. He made Cody Rhodes bleed, and he put the blood on the weight belt of The Rock, of the Mama Rhodes, and everything like that. And it leads to this amazing two-night WrestleMania, and the back-to-back main events, but are just incredible and amazing. And it's so much. And even though, you know, him coming in late in the ball game and trying to change it to him and Roman, and the fact they didn't go there and they pivoted, and it went the right way, and it was beautiful and it was wonderful. I think even though with the way he came, even though with the way he came in, how it ended, I think most people was like, wow, that was still good. That was really good. And you wanted to see how far else it could go. How far could it go? Could this go? And then the next night on Raw, we had that weird kind of promo, and it was kind of long, and we even had a "This is awkward" chant. But he was talking about he wanted to hold Cody's title and things like that. And remember he even gave something to Cody Rhodes as at WrestleMania. He told him, "Don't break my heart again." Yes, that was weird. But okay, but we know that The Rock was going to have to leave because he also does movies and things like that. So, fine, he's gone, and he's gone for months. And then we get to Bad Blood, and there are reports now that The Rock wants to come back at Bad Blood. And why does he want to come back? So now we're going to have this main event of CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. Now we switch it because CM Punk and Drew are opening the show, because now we're going to have this quote unquote surprise, even though it gets leaked out, the surprise of The Rock coming back at Bad Blood. And that's what happens, and The Rock comes back, and Roman and Cody, they win. Jimmy Uso comes back, and then The Rock comes out. He comes out onto the thing, and Roman and Jimmy and Cody are in the ring, and The Rock, he does the 1, 2, 3 slow slash. And just walks out, and you're like, well, what the fuck was that? And it's wondering, like, well, what does that mean? He's doing 1, 2, 3. There's 3 people in the ring. Jimmy and Roman and Cody. Is he talking about those 3? We just talking about the other 3 of Solo, Tamatanga, and Jacob Fatu. Is he talking about those 3? Wait, what is it? Does it lead to something? Now, the way he does it and the way he ends it is very interesting, because he does it like this. And this is, of course, what John Cena now does, because he used to do this, but when it went PG, he went like, he started doing like this as his little hand gesture. So then The Rock, and then we once again don't really see or hear no hide or hair of The Rock up until the Netflix debut. in which he opens the show, and he's walking out there still with the People's Championship. As he makes, remember he had the People's Championship. He had the People's Championship on WrestleMania. He had it on the Raw WrestleMania. He had it at Bad Blood. So he comes out there with the People's Championship. He comes down and he gives the People's Championship to one of his daughters. Okay, we haven't seen it since, so that's number one, right? One of his younger daughters, not Ava. So he gets in the ring. He welcomes everybody to the new Netflix. He's there. He's welcoming the Netflix people and everything like that. He's doing all of this stuff. He even congratulates Cody Rhodes on being, the champion, because Cody's there he's there in the crowd and things like that. And he's thinking about Cody and kind of almost. This is not even in kayfabe. Right? He's not kayfabe. He's just doing this like for real life. And he comes out there. He does his whole shtick, and we have the Roman and Solo match for the Ulafala and Tribal Chief, which Roman wins. He comes down and he gives Roman the Ulafala and everything like that. And so, okay. Then he comes out on the CW, and he does the CW, and he's there. And he has nothing to say. He might be even a little bit drunk, but he even does like that. And there are just promos where he's just rambling, and it's like, what the fuck? And he's not saying anything. He's not starting anything. He addresses the fact that on Monday he talked about Monday he talked about he gave Cody his props, but why he isn't they left off with him and Cody at kind of at odds, and he's talking about let the Rock take you on the ride, as he like to say. And and then it happens. And again, we don't see it here from the Rock up until Elimination, until a couple weeks before Elimination Chamber, where he comes out there to announce that WrestleMania is going to be in New Orleans in 2026. Okay, that's fine. But then he also calls out Cody Rhodes, and again, he's doing all of this thing. And during this promo, he's going back and forth from heel to face in the promo, where he's singing along with the crowd, and he's telling the crowd to go fuck themselves, don't sing along with him, and I have no idea. So he calls Cody down, and he's talking about how their wife, the mothers are friends, and things like that. He's enjoyed the thing, and that's where we get the whole "I want your soul" stuff. And it's like, what? You want your soul? And again, people are kind of 50-50 about this, after the show, because he wants the soul so Cody to turn heel. And it's already going to turn heel, and so people, it's going to be something interesting to check out. The Rock is back now. He's back again. We're on the road to WrestleMania. Things like that, and it's good. So people are like excited because of what happened last year when Rock came back to WrestleMania. It's an exciting deal. But then there are also some people who are like, well, why is he back? And why is he changing? Why is Cody Rhodes returning here? Why is he doing this by doing this? We're getting reports that once again he's coming in and he's changing things around. This was originally supposed to happen, but now this is happening. And what's going on here? And now we get to Elimination Chamber. John Cena, who's on his retirement tour, by the way, wins the Elimination Chamber. Cody Rhodes comes out there to congratulate him. Now The Rock comes out, and The Rock comes out along with Travis Scott. And he's out there now, and now he's out there to get Cody Rhodes' answer of he's going to sell his soul. And Cody says, "Go fuck yourself, Rock." John Cena's there, he's happy, he does this, and he gives him a hug. Rock John Cena looks at The Rock, and he goes in for the bro hug, and The Rock gives him the throat slash, and we get the heel turn of all heel turns with John Cena. at the Elimination Chamber. And it's great, and it's great. And it's wonderful, it's a great thing, it's something that you thought you'd never see. And it just is what it is. And then as we get on the road to WrestleMania, and John Cena is now going to work some dates over in Europe, and we're getting these promos, and we're figuring out the why, but we're not hearing why did he sell his soul to The Rock. They really don't even really bring up The Rock. They bring up The Rock once in their promo battles, and it's almost like, well, what the hell is going on here, right? And show up, and then we get to WrestleMania this past week, and we think, well, The Rock's going to show up, right? The Rock has to show up, right? And they're doing those things where The Rock is doing things where I'm not in Vegas, and everybody goes, yeah, Rock, sure. Because everybody's done that. You know, Edge is coming back to WWE. No, he's not. I am not coming back. I am still retired. You know, then 2020 Royal Rumble hits, number 22 or whatever, 23, whatever it was. You think, you know what I mean? You know, so this is always done, right? This is always done, like, with wrestlers. I'm here, but actually I'm not here. So that's what we're thinking about The Rock. So then we get to night 2, WrestleMania main event, and it's John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. They're having a match, and at one point The Rock doesn't seem, not right, but John Cena doesn't seem to be able to put down Cody Rhodes. And then we hear Fiend, and we hear Travis Scott. So now everybody's like, okay, here we go. Now the stuff is going to start. Here comes Travis Scott. So soon we should not get The Rock. No. Travis Scott comes down. Travis Scott interferes. We get some shenanigans. We get another, we get Cody Rhodes during the past SmackDown. The SmackDown before WrestleMania, John Cena said that Cody Rhodes is going to have a thing where he's going to want to either do the good guy thing or the bad guy thing. And what is he actually going to do? And they had that thing where that thing had happened and he couldn't pull the trigger, and John Cena he hit him with a low blow, hit him with the title, and became the 17-time world champion. With no sign of The Rock. And people are upset because they feel like it's a bad main event. Where the fuck was The Rock? Why are we getting Travis Scott in this? Travis Scott was a part of the heel turn as well at the Elimination Chamber. What the fuck is going on? Why is not The Rock doing this? Why are we getting this? Why is it like this? This kind of sucks. This doesn't feel right. This is awful. This is an awful match, an awful ending. What the hell is going on, right? We have all of these opinions about it, right? Then we get the Raw after Mania, and then Tuesday, this past Tuesday, we get The Rock on the Pat McAfee show. And The Rock kind of explains what went down from his side, his point of view. And he talks about, again, what happened. So apparently Ari Amaral, owner of TKO, calls him and says that the Elimination Chamber isn't selling too well. You need to drum up some information. Can you come and do it? So then Rock says, let me think about it. He decides on yes. So he gets together with Triple H and Nick Khan and everything like that, and they come up with a plan of what he can do in Elimination Chamber. And they come up with, and again, we can come up with the selling your soul thing from Cody Rhodes. And of course, and he originally wanted Cody Rhodes to be the one to turn heel, but Cody declined it. So they went with The Rock, and then they went with Cena. So they did all of that. So then that happens. Great angle, things like that, right? And then from his point of view, again, he says that, okay, so now since we've had this, and we've had the heel turn of John Cena, Now the final boss doesn't need to be around. Now does not take any focus off of John Cena and Cody Rhodes. So now the final boss steps back out of the picture, and we focusing on them. And that's why he wasn't there at WrestleMania. He even critiques WrestleMania, which some people are saying is burying Triple H, throwing him on the bus. People really don't know what burying is when it comes to wrestling, but there's neither here nor there. He says that he says as soon as Travis Scott came out, he knew himself that okay, they're going to be asking where's The Rock? The Rock's next. Where's The Rock? And he kind of claims that he thought the finish was, yeah, he would have finessed it a little bit more, maybe. And saying that, maybe kind of intimating that he would not have used Travis Scott in there or anything like that, but whatever. So he does this interview. He lets us know what happened, and this has set the internet ablaze. Excuse me. This has set the internet ablaze because people think like, what the fuck was this? What the fuck do you mean that you need to step back? What the fuck do you mean? That you wanted somebody to sound like, you put yourself in this spot. What the fuck do you mean about all of this? You're just ruining shit. Because apparently the original way this was gonna happen was it was going. John Cena was not gonna turn heel in let's say he was gonna turn heel at WrestleMania. And then there's also been some like reports. I don't know if The Rock reported it or it came out somewhere else. That is also like that. This was John Cena. John Cena decided to turn heel in Elimination Chamber, and just people have just been like, "Wow, what the hell is going on?" You're seeing things about him, calling him a bald fraud and things like that. Using some of the CM Punk's words from the Elimination Chamber. A lot of other things. People just not saying Rock needs to stay away or anything like that. Just don't come back. Don't get back involved. Again, people think he threw Triple H under the bus or anything like that. And in fact, quickly here, let me just quickly read this. This is like from WrestleZone. They had a report that The Rock, he responds to criticisms, reacts to an accusation that he threw Triple H under the bus. This is again from WrestleZone. The article is LHA. So apparently on Instagram, the Busted Open program for Serious Sport, they put out a reel of Dave LaGreca criticizing Johnson's comments. He in a rant that he says that here that these comments, which were made by Johnson on the Pat Becker show on Tuesday, have since become a top topic of debate online, including Busted Open Radio. Busted Open co-host Dave LaGreca was especially critical of Johnson's comments, so much that he unloaded a rant at Johnson, shared via Instagram, which accused him of throwing WWE Chief Content Officer Paul Triple H Levesque, the head of creative, under the bus. LaGreca additionally cited issue with Johnson making those comments while being absent for WrestleMania, seemingly to do reshoots for the live action on the film instead. And they had the rant. I'm not going to play the rant, but here is what Johnson wrote in the comment section of that. Hi Dave, this business is a complete work. Always has been and always will be. Johnson wrote in Instagram post comment section. Every aspect of it, every match, every interview. Please join me, Cody, Cena, Brian, and the rest of us for our creative discussions so you can expand your perspective. Until then, stop ranting. It's not healthy, my friend. Enjoy the show. P.S. Tell Bubba Ray I have grin, marinara, and hush puppies for all of us. So The Rock has heard and seen the criticisms as well. So this all comes back to my original title for this video, is The Rock good for the WWE? Is what The Rock does. Him continue to come back, insert himself into creative, you know, all of these things. Is he good for the WWE? I'll say this. Myself, being one of the biggest Rock fans there ever was. There ever is. As I still am a fan. And I mentioned in this video about some of the unfair criticisms that I think he has received in or out of the ring. And I talked about, like with Seth Rollins, we don't need him. No. If one of the biggest stars in the world, and one of the biggest stars in the history of professional wrestling, wants to come back and wants to do something, yes, you can pivot off of something. And you can pivot in certain ways. You can do certain things. And you can help him add to the product. He's The Rock. But it does come a time when whatever he can bring to the product, does that coincide with what he takes away from it? Now again, I'm in the minority. I have no problem with The Rock not being there. I have no problem with The Rock Rock inserting himself into creative and anything like that, as long as he doesn't, completely derail things. And they can't make a pivot like they did last year for WrestleMania 40. As long as those things doesn't happen, I am totally fine with The Rock being there. But even I must fully admit that what I don't want to happen is I don't want the WWE, and on the role that they have been, I don't want the WWE to once again push away fans, because the fans feel like, whether the fans are right or wrong in doing it, but they feel like that they are not, they're doing things the wrong way. What I don't want is the fans to just groan and moan anytime The Rock shows up. Because when The Rock shows up, it should be something great. It should be a surprise, especially in this final boss character. It should be something amazing. It should be something that we enjoy seeing. Again, it should be something that should add to the fans' enjoyment. If it takes away from the fans' enjoyment, that becomes a problem. And we might be getting close to that point to where, in some of the fans' minds, The Rock is taking away their enjoyment. And I don't want that to happen. So is The Rock good for WWE? At this point, I'm going to say yes. He is still good for WWE. But they have to be careful. They have to be careful. Because they cannot have things that happen this week where The Rock comes out and there's backlash and they turn his comments around to saying that he is, throwing Triple H under the bus. They can't have disagreements. We even had one of the guys, the coach. He put out on Twitter that he said he believes that there's something going on backstage doing creative, and that maybe there is a rift between Triple H and The Rock. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know If that's just, that may just be his opinion, but even still, for him to even have that opinion, it's kind of worrisome, because just because The Rock goes on Pat McAfee and says something, you now think that there's a problem there? Yeah, that's not good. It's definitely not good. So, yeah. In my opinion, The Rock is still good for WWE, but we have to be careful. WWE has to be careful. Because, and they have to be careful not only with The Rock, but a lot of other things that we don't need, that we don't have the time to get into this episode, as we're heading on almost an hour of this video. And I appreciate you guys watching this video for this entire hour. I appreciate it so much. We've got, there are things that WWE needs to be careful of doing, to going back to alienating their thing, because we live in a world, we live now in a world where it's not the fact that your product is great or is hot or whatever. There are other things that they feel, they feel it's not going on, you're not being done right by them, that they may slide away. And again, that's something that I don't want to happen. Because right now, we're in a spot where everybody's pretty much, everybody within reason, who has common sense, is reasonable knowing that the WWE is hot right now. They're doing great things. They're not perfect, but they're doing great things, great angles, great things. Again, with a great SmackDown last night, ended off with a tremendous TLC match. They're continuing their greatness, and we like to see. I like to see that continue as well. So that's that. Let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. Once again, I appreciate everybody watching this video full. I rarely do 1 hour videos of That's a Shoot, unless they are long prediction videos or anything like that. But we couldn't just delve into The Rock being good for WWE without going back and recapping some of the stuff that has gone down the past 18 months or so. Going back to that 2023 interview with Pat McAfee and the subsequent appearance on the SmackDown later that evening. So I think once we've done that, and we've talked about that, and we now see the whole thing, and I think that's a great thing to talk about. So please post your comments down below. Tell me what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think about The Rock, the WWE, how I kind of broke it down. Do you now see where all of this has started, and how has this made you feel? Have you kind of thought, hey, it's The Rock, good, and now you're like, really? I don't even care for The Rock. It seems like I see more and more of that online, and that's sad to see, because The Rock should be one of the most beloved wrestlers, to ever live. He should be one of the most beloved people to ever live, because I do think, for the most part, The Rock he's a great human being. He is not without his flaws himself. He may have some issues, with maybe his ego or his self-analysis. Maybe, I'm not sure, but I think for the most part, he has a good he is a good human being, has a good heart, and he does things out of the goodness of his heart. I don't think, I know some people think that he does things, for the camera, something like that. I think he does it for the camera, not because he wants to say, hey, look at me, I'm doing something good. He wants to say, hey, doing something good is a good thing, and it makes people feel good, and hopefully you should pass it on, and you would do something good for a person. So, whatever. But yeah, please post your comments down below. Tell me what you guys think. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. And always, again, if this is your first time being here, first time watching one of my videos, Again, and I do much more than just wrestling. I do a whole bunch of other stuff. There's gonna be some videos and some talks on very soon about some of the stuff going down with the draft and NFL and so things like that. So please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, especially with this tremendously long video that usually is not, this isn't a normal That's a Shoot video, but please, thank you guys again so much for watching. This is your boy, AJTRIP, signing off. As always, be good to each other, y'all. Be careful out there. And I am out.